Internet, what is up? Well, we're back again, and you guys have been waiting a minute. So we're going to kick this episode off with, of course, ad read stuff. This episode of the podcast is brought to you by my good friends at Unity Tactical. And what does Unity Tactical do? They make some of the finest weapons components this side of the world. They make amazing switchology for lights, lasers, illumination stuff to go on weapon systems, and they also make a amazing mount suite called the Fast System and the Fusion System. They have all kinds of great componentry to put on guns. I run their stuff exclusively on all my guns, and not just because they sponsor me or the podcast, but because they make really great kit. And as those of you that know, I don't use shitty kit. I use the best of the best stuff, because when your life depends on it, use the best gear. Okay, you don't see NASCAR mechanics buying their tools at Kmart, and you don't find me buying scuba gear or parachutes at a garage sale. So when it comes down to life-saving equipment, buy the best. And I fully endorse Unity Tactical. Go check them out at unitytactical.com or on the gram at Unity Tactical. All right. It's fucking Weapons Free Wednesday, people. Let's fucking G-O.
Cause I'm so fucking good. Get some, baby. Get some. Get some. Get some. Get some. Get some. Come on. Get it. Come on. Get some. Get some. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I got you,
Okay. Here we are, people. It's Weapons Free Wednesday. I don't even know what fucking number we're on. Movie gig is wrapped up, and that was what was eating up a lot of my bandwidth. Also, we're on take 2 of this podcast, because we came in here, and as I mentioned on Instagram in my stories, we set everything up. We got everything dialed in. We started the podcast. We got halfway through it, and we got to a really juicy rant that I was going down about the Marine Corps, and it unfortunately, Riverside, which is the program, Riverside FM is what we use to do all of our online podcasting stuff. And the program just decided to shut down while I was mid-rant and not paying attention. On the podcast today, we have my lovely assistant and also one of my best friends on the planet, Megan. How are you?
I'm good. Thank you for having me on your podcast.
Yeah, welcome to the podcast. Welcome to the spicy segment of the podcast. Are you familiar with the format?
I am.
Are you familiar with what weapons free actually means?
Let's hear it.
Okay, well, I have to explain it constantly, because people will constantly DM me and be like, "What is, bro? I thought you're pro gun. You're pro 2A. Like, what do you mean by weapons free?" Weapons free was actually a rule of engagement that we had on deployments, and if you were passed over the radio, all stations this net, you are now weapons free at this time. It means that you can engage anything in the target area at your discretion, armed, unarmed, doesn't matter. You can just kill whatever you want, because the reason they do that is they know that the enemy situation in the area is very active and our chances of contact are imminent. So they will upgrade to a weapons free status. So nobody is hesitating on the trigger when they see things that are going on that shouldn't be going on, and you need to kill those things. So weapons free is actually a rule of engagement. So on this podcast, the way it correlates is weapons free means I get to take whatever social issue, rant, topic, question, and engage at my discretion.
I love it.
I can hold the trigger down and run the belt until it runs out of the gun. So,
and just bitch all day long.
Yeah. So
cool.
People, surprising enough as it is, like, people love this segment of the podcast. Like,
I'll have guests.
I'll have guests on, and I'll have some good guests on, and then the next week I'll do a Weapons Free Wednesday, and I will rant my ass off about some topic, fill in the blank, and people will go crazy over it, and our analytics spike. And I'm like, okay, well, people apparently love to hear my opinion in a very heated manner. So sometimes, which we're probably going to get to some of that today, but that's the format. And it's usually a rant on a particular topic, mostly socio-political shit, or it's or it's me doing Q&A, which we're going to do a little bit of both today. So yeah, here we are.
It's been an interesting week.
It has been a very interesting week due to recent events, which we're going to dive headfirst into.
Yeah.
Thanks for the iced coffee.
Absolutely.
Megan got me some iced coffee here. We're enjoying. We're actually enjoying in the podcast studio in your group. What do you call this? A group work?
Yeah.
A shared work studio?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. We're in Kiln, Salt Lake City or Park City. And using their shared co-working space. And it's kind of awesome.
It is awesome. So they have a full, like, acoustically dampened, fully kitted out podcast studio that we're in right now. And it's pretty cool. It's awesome. It's what I strive to be when I grow up. You know, right now I'm like Kane from Kung Fu, just traveling around with my little satchel with my little H6 zoom recorder in it, just
We'll
capturing.
design and build one of these for you.
Yeah, we're going to get it done.
Mm-hmm.
It's going to be awesome. Okay, so I think the first thing I want to touch on is welcome back to the podcast, everybody. I wanted to touch on something that's going to be it's a hot topic. We're obviously going to talk about the Trump assassination attempt. When this went down, okay, first of all, my crystal ball so far is like 10 out of 10 because I completely, and I'm definitely going to blow my own horn here for a second, but I completely predicted the fall of Afghanistan. And the situation that was going to drive from that. Like I literally called the suicide bombing 2 days before it happened at Abbey Gate, which is extremely unfortunate and it sucks because 13 service people lost their lives in that and didn't have to. It was an example of absolutely shit leadership that caused that to happen, which has been pretty much par for the course for this presidential administration. And then I predicted the invasion of Ukraine by like, I think I was like in a 3-day window there. Like I predicted it, and 3 days later it happened. And then I've called the ball on this election. I said this is going to be the most contentious election, and expect in our nation's history, and expect violent things to happen. And in fact, violent things did happen when a shooter who obviously is mentally ill decided to take a weapon, climb on a roof, and try and kill presidential candidate, former President Donald Trump. So yeah, so as soon as this started unrolling, happening, like immediately social media blew up, and like you saw it, you participated, and we were at your house, and shit just started going crazy. And I put up this, this picture hit the airwaves on Instagram, and I was like, that is an iconic photo, and it is that's now indelibly printed into the pages of our history and our psyche as Americans. And I put that up on my page, and instantly, like all my Australian followers and friends like started buzzing in the background about like, oh my God, I can't believe he's a Trumper. Oh my God, I can't believe he loves Trump, blah, 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 blah. Okay. So to all my Aussie friends out there, first of all, like anybody that knows me well knows that there is an entertainment aspect to this podcast. And I actually am not as hardline and don't cuss as much and don't like, I'm actually a quiet, more reserved person, like in real life than I animated on this podcast. And part of that is for entertainment purposes for my listeners, but it's also like, it's a cathartic way for me to like vent and get my rant and get my angst out, on the airwaves. And I know that a lot of what I have to say is it's an opinion that's probably shared by many Americans, and it's super frustrating. So what I want to say to my Aussie friends is like, I'm very politically neutral. Like I'm a libertarian. I'm a libertarian that leans right. I don't believe in like a complete, no, we should have no government, because there's that extreme part of libertarianism that's like, we should have no government. It should just be anarchy, chaos, and I should just be off being a warlord doing what I want. And like, I don't believe in that. Like, I do believe we do need to have organization. We do need to have, social programs. I do believe that we need to have, security and stability and all the things that, make a civilized society run. I just want the government to be as small and the least amount of invasion in my life possible. So I'm not a fan of our two-party system. I hate the fact that we have a right and a left. I hate the fact that most of us who are in the middle as independents or as libertarians, or those of us, and I believe a majority of Americans, sit in the middle, and we're constantly held hostage by these extreme right and left ideologies. And so I'm actually a very middle of the road person. Like, and for those of you that are new and just showing up here, like I was extremely critical of Donald Trump when he was elected. Like I did not like the guy. And it's not because, it's not because of, he had some policies that I liked. And I think he's done a way better job than the current administration did when he was in the seat. However, I don't like how he conducts himself, and he just, as a presidential person, as the leader of our country, he doesn't always embody leadership qualities that I find attractive. Yeah. Like, is it funny when he talks shit sometimes on Twitter? Yeah, I do enjoy that occasionally when he does talk a little bit of shit. However, like, I think he just gets it carried away. And what I really don't like is that all the people that support him in his administration, he never pays homage to them, never mentions them, never gives them credit where credit's due. He's always just like, I'm the greatest man ever, and it was the greatest plan ever. And I don't enjoy that. So I don't want any of my Aussie friends or followers to be confused about my position. Like, I posted that picture on my page because it's iconically American.
Yeah.
Like, it represents to me our fighting spirit. Like, when was the last time fucking old Abo, or whatever the fuck they call Albanese, Albo, they call him old Albo. When was the last time he got shot in the head and then stood back up and put his fist in the air and was like, fuck you? Has never happened. Yeah. And let's just be real. Like, I love Australia. It's the place that I would go live if I wasn't, it'd be my first pick as a place to live if I was going to live outside the US. It would be my first pick to if I was going to pick a second place to be a citizen, it would be Australia. I love Australia. I love the people there. I love the country. You guys have always been tremendous allies of the United States, and that's because let's not forget what the history book says, which is we saved your fucking ass. Like, you guys in World War II, like the Empire of Japan, the samurai horde was coming down to fuck your women and cut your heads off, and we stopped them, literally dead in their tracks. Like, they were in Bali. Like, they controlled all of Indonesia. They controlled a third of China. They controlled the Philippines. They controlled the Solomon Islands. Like, they controlled all the island chains. The whole Pan-Pacific theater was controlled by the Japanese, and they were fucking coming for your asses. And you know who saved you? We fucking did. You guys are kind of pussies when it comes to your politics. You like your fucking cars. You like your awesome coffee. You love going to the beach and working out and getting a tan. But you let your politicians pretty much do whatever the fuck they want. And they run right over the top of you, and they tax the fuck out of you. And they put cameras on street corners everywhere, and they track your cell phone. And we saw how tyrannical the Australian government got during COVID. We're going to shut the whole island down, and we're going to put people in fucking health camps or whatever the fuck it was. Like, I still have video where an Australian woman who was pregnant, who put something up on Facebook. Like, I have the video on my phone still. Put something up on Facebook and like asked a question, like something to the effect of like, I don't understand why they're being so strict and why we have to be locked down for so long. The police came to her house. She had an appointment that morning. She had a sonogram that morning to like go do a checkup on the baby. And the police came in and handcuffed a pregnant woman and took her out for something that she posted on Facebook. Okay. So you guys can talk shit about our gun situation and the level of violence in our country. First of all, you guys have a 12th of our population, and you guys are not any exclusion to the rule of violence, because my last trip in Australia, you guys had a psychopath go into the Bondi Junction Mall where Kate and I shop and stab up and kill 7 people.
Yeah.
So like, violence is still very much alive and well in your country too. Our Second Amendment and our right to bear arms basically prevents governments from coming down and doing what the fuck they did to you guys during COVID.
Yeah.
So you guys can talk all the shit you want about, oh, he's a Trumper, he's Trump supporter, blah, blah. I'm not supporting Trump. I am recognizing that was a historical moment in our country, in our country's history. And I'm proud of the fighting spirit of that man. Like, put his politics aside. He got shot in the fucking head and stood up and put his fist in the air and was like, fuck you, let's fight. That is iconically American. Like, that's what we're all about.
Yeah.
So I just want to put that out there because there was lots of buzz going on in the background, and Kate took a lot of heat for me having that picture on my page. And I was just like, okay, well, it's fine. I'll jump on the podcast. All these people listen to my podcast. So I love you guys. Okay. And I will never let politics destroy a good friendship ever in a million years. And I hate politics. And I wrote that, it's almost like all these people that were like, what the fuck, didn't even bother to read the copy. Because apparently it takes too much time these days. And human beings have too short of a attention span these days to look at the picture and then scroll down and read the copy. And I wrote the copy, and I specifically said everything that I just said on this podcast. Like, this is iconically American. It represents our fighting spirit. I'm proud of the fighting spirit in that man. And when that situation occurred, and that's why I put up there. And then I put my favorite poem of all time, which is Invictus. So, if you're confused, go read the fine print, go read the copy. And in the meantime, I love you guys. I love Australia. I love my fans. I love that I have a global audience. I don't always expect you guys to understand the nuance of American culture and why we love our guns so much, but thank God we have them, because I don't have people coming to my house to arrest my pregnant wife for fucking things she put on Facebook.
Yeah.
Like, if I was that dude, I would have fucking took a kitchen knife and stabbed those motherfuckers. Like, you would not take my pregnant wife out of my house in handcuffs. I'd kill you. happily kill you. So yeah, that's where we're at. So want to clear that up for my Aussie followers. So I hope that was a good rant to kick this thing off with.
It was an excellent one. And there's a few questions that lead into that, I think.
Okay, great. So let's we will shift into questions at this time. So go ahead and kick those things off.
Okay, this one's from Warrior Meets Scholar. If no one has ever shown you how to win, how do you win?
I mean, that's a great analogy. I mean, first of all, what do you want to win at? What are you trying to win at? You trying to win at life? You trying to win at business? And then also know that any system that you operate in is probably governed by rules designed for you to lose. So rule number one in my life is there are no fucking rules. Like when it comes to business and just my own personal goals, I don't abide by a rule book. I throw the rule book out the window. Mm-hmm. If there's something I don't know how to do, because I'm trying to win at something I've never been taught how, let's boil it down to a business scenario. Okay. And you can definitely relate to this because you are an entrepreneur and you've started your own business and you run a successful architecture firm. So how many times have you tried to figure out, like you're like, fuck, I don't know how to do that. I either need to call somebody that's got the experience that will mentor me, or I will look it up and figure it out on my own. And that's either like reading a book or jumping online and going to YouTube University or going to a professional education institution like I did.
Yeah.
Like I was doing industrial design and doing product development for years before I finally came to the realization, like, I am deficient in my knowledge. How do I acquire that knowledge? I need to go to a professional education institution. And I did.
Learn that,
I used my GI Bill. I went to design school for 3 years and learned all of the things that I felt that I was deficient at. So when you're trying to win at something, whatever it is, and you haven't been taught, that's why you rely on other people that have that experience set or are on the same path as you and have done, or further down the trail than you are. Like I call one of my best friends, Griff at Combat Flip Flops, all the time. He's a super successful businessman. He's scaled his company into, high 7-figure range. So like I always, if I have a question on something, I always go to him and I'm like, hey man, what do you think about this? How are you doing this? So it's all based on initiative. Like how bad do you want it? How bad do you want whatever it is that you're trying to win at?
Yeah.
And like, you should chase it relentlessly. If you have a goal set for something that you want to do, go crush it and do whatever it takes to crush it. Set the task, condition, and standard to accomplish your goal, and then go follow that. Make the plan, execute the plan.
Yeah.
Okay.
And don't be afraid to ask people for help.
Yeah.
Like that's something that's every day I'm asking someone, I'm finding something out. It's, I mean, you don't want to be in a stagnant business either. You want to learn.
Yeah. Well, how much reading and research do you do as a leader of your business unit?
Oh, a lot.
Yeah. Yeah, I do the same. I'm constantly reading things. I'm constantly like listening to podcasts, not for entertainment purposes, but like for educational purposes. I'm constantly I have my nose in YouTube all the time, like trying to keep up with what customer trends are and like what's being posted in the media space and YouTube and, what my competitors are doing with their product lines. And like, I'm constantly doing research all the time, whether it's for product, whether it's for media, whether it's for training. Like my nose is always in my computer, and it's usually 9.5 times out of 10 always always educational based reasons. Like I'm kind of a boring fuck because I don't do a lot of like entertainment based shit. Like my guilty sin for entertainment is like watching a movie like we did the other night, or like going to the movie theater and eating popcorn. I love movies. I love cinema. And so, yeah, I'm constantly doing research. Educate yourselves, people, and be relentless with your goals. And if somebody didn't teach you how to do it, go figure it out. Go figure it out yourself.
Yeah.
Next question.
This one is from Zentmeyer 2020.
My man, Lane. Okay.
Pretty sure I know the answer, but what made you sign up for the infantry in the Marine Corps?
Oh, the Marine Corps. Well,
don't let your program crash on this one.
Yeah, right.
You had a good rant.
This was like the longest rant on that we got last time, and then it crashed. So, basically, I wanted to be a SEAL, and the Navy lost my fucking paperwork. And in hindsight, after like serving an enlistment in the Marine Corps and being on Navy ships and seeing how Navy life works and what being on ship looks like, and just the general like disposition of the Navy and like their attitude and how they conduct themselves, like I knew that I felt like I dodged a bullet on my first deployment after like getting front row seats to like what the Navy is and what the Navy's like. I was like, oh, I actually dodged a bullet. So Navy lost my fucking paperwork, fucked it all up. I was in delayed entry from the time I was a junior in high school, and then decided to go into the Marine Corps because they lost my paperwork and I didn't want to wait. And the Marine Corps, a friend of mine's dad was the new Marine Corps recruiter in town. Gunny Carroll was his name. And he got me signed right up and got me put in the Marine Corps. And I went to the Marine Corps and was an 0311 infantryman and never looked back, and did 8 years in that institution and loved working at the tactical level. So I did not love my leadership. I think there's some toxic and institutional problems with the Marine Corps. I just got caught in a situation where I thought the leadership was massively lacking. I loved working at the tactical level. I loved training new Marines. I loved being a team leader and a squad leader and a platoon sergeant in combat. I loved holding a captain's billet and learning conversational Arabic and leading a brigade-sized partner force in the Battle of Fallujah. Like I loved all the things I accomplished and did. Like I loved that. The leadership and the culture of the Marine Corps. At the tactical level, we have an amazing culture. Once you go to the staff and officer level, it gets very toxic, and it gets, like we had a very toxic sergeant major and we had very toxic first sergeants, and that just trickled down into our battalion and made life really, really painful for, the junior Marines when I was in for the junior enlisted ranks. And so we had officers and staff NCOs that were rotating in off of B billets, and I was up for I was up for promotion. I was in zone 4. I got in zone 4 staff sergeant, and then I was also up for reenlistment at the same time. So I just took a look at what the Marine Corps was and how they were pulling senior staff NCOs and officers in from B billets that had never deployed in combat. I had already had lots and lots of ass pain with dealing with the staff NCO and officer ranks fighting me on various things. And it was like reinventing the wheel every training cycle with fucking retards that just had no experience, and they would not listen to their junior enlisted, and were fighting a new kind of war at that time. During the global war on terror, it was very new. We were fighting a new enemy. We were fighting an unconventional insurgency, not conventional warfare. As soon as we shifted gears from a conventional warfare setting during the invasion, and we blitzkrieged across southern Iraq and came to our limit of advance in Sadr City, and then shifted into realistically a special operations role, because then we started conducting direct action missions on suspected chemical weapons facilities, like from then on out. And then after I rotated back and the insurgency sparking up and kicking off because Paul Bremer was a fucking idiot and disbanded the Iraqi army and refused to pay them, which, what do you do when you're a career soldier and your country's is now being occupied by a foreign force, and they have said, nope, go home, we're not paying you. And your whole life has been about being a soldier. Yeah. You're going to go become the best bad guy you can be in your own backyard. And that's what sparked the insurgency. And that's what we immediately shifted into, in my opinion, like counterinsurgency operations and foreign internal defense are very much the tenets of special operations. So now you have conventional forces trying to execute special operations missions that they haven't been properly trained for. And then you have inexperienced leadership that have never had a bullet go by their head. And it just became a recipe for me to be like, go fuck yourselves. Yeah. I'm not dealing with you anymore. And I went on and left and got recruited by Blackwater and got to go work in a special operations capacity in Afghanistan and do all the fucking cool guy shit that my little heart could ever desire. And I, did awesome stuff in Afghanistan. So my career was great. I was in the right time at the right place, surrounded by the right people, and it was awesome. But I don't have any regrets about joining the Marine Corps. It was a great institution at the tactical level. Like basically E5 to E1 in the Marine Corps is fucking awesome. They're stellar performers. Once you hit E6, E7, E8, or you're in that executive officer or commanding officer role at the company level and on up, you become a staff puke, and the whole rest of your life becomes about staff billets and instructor billets. And it's just, you don't get to do your job anymore. Like you basically get promoted out of your job. So unless you are going to go to recon or force recon or MARSOC as a, combat arms dude, or as a Marine that wants to do that job, like once you get promoted to, E5, when you're staring down the barrel of E6, just know that your life tactically is over. Yeah. So you get to do cool guy shit for, depending on how fast you get promoted, 6 to 10 years possibly. And then like half your career can be fun, cool guy shit at the tactical level. And then after that, you're going to get put in a staff billet and your life is going to suck. And it's going to be all about PowerPoints and PME. So which is professional military education. So I don't have any regrets, but there's a reason that I left that institution, and I don't feel bad about it at all. But shout out to all my grunts at all my O3s and recon bubbas and snipers and MARSOC dudes that are still doing the job. God bless you. Next question.
All right, this one's from Blackout Customs. Is Q's dick really as big as he says it is?
Fuck no, that dude's hung like a light switch. Next question.
KVL 2379. I think they're saying, have you seen The Acolyte? And if so, how was it?
Okay, yeah, that's old Kev. What's up, Kev? I hope your jiu-jitsu journey's going good. I've been watching you on Instagram, man. I've been looking at your posts. Good job for getting in jiu-jitsu. I'm proud of you. Stick with it. I haven't seen The Acolyte yet. Kevin knows that I'm a super Star Wars nerd, and maybe not that big of a Star Wars nerd. I think it's just a time issue. One of Kato and I's favorite things to do is like eat weed gummies and sit on the couch and pig out on ice cream and watch any type of Star Wars. It doesn't matter what it is. We are big fans of the Andor franchise. Like Kato and I believe that Andor is probably under the new Disney umbrella, the best of what Star Wars has to offer. Like there's a lot of things that they have fucked up, and like the cinematic version of what the Star Wars came to. There was like certain parts of it that were good, and then other parts of it that I thought were corny and cheesy. Disney does a really good job of fucking everything up with their diversity, equality, and inclusion fucking policies. And so I roll my eyes at some of their political, socio-political, and gender identity politics fucking bullshit that they roll in underneath the surface in the new Star Wars franchises, and they do it. I don't care for that, but overall, like, still a total Star Wars nerd. Love I will watch anything Star Wars, but I will definitely have my opinion because I'm a purist about Star Wars. And so I have not seen Acolyte yet, but I will watch it, and I will get back to you, Kevin.
I'm excited to see this laundry list of movies and TV shows that you and Alex are going to watch.
Oh, yes.
Okay, next one, Agent of My Own. I'm tired of all this. Nothing in the news is good. Time to check out for a while. It's all so exhausting.
Yes, my friend, it is, which is why when you've been death scrolling for too long and you send me really stupid shit that I'm like, oh, he's brain fried from death scrolling for a fucking hour or whatever it's been. Mm-hmm. I always tell him, bro, get the fuck off your phone and go dry fire or go PT or go to jiu-jitsu. And he's like, oh, yeah, I do. And then sometimes he sends me really stupid shit because he knows it just pisses me off. I don't blame you, man. And I think everybody should take a fast from what they're consuming. And if you are caught in a death scroll loop and you're consuming really toxic, negative shit all the time, it will affect your minds. It will affect you. It will certainly affect you. It's just like if you put any other trash in your body, if you're chugging Mountain Dew and eating Twinkies and fucking Doritos 24/7 every meal, like you're going to get fat. It's going to affect your health. Mm-hmm. So like trash in equals trash out. And social media is no different. If you're absorbing constant negativity and death scrolling negative shit all the time, political stuff, war stuff from Ukraine, like I have to be very careful with the amount of time I spend on social media and what I'm ingesting. Yeah. And luckily I have a good balance on who I follow. So I follow artists, I follow business people that I respect, I follow inspirational pages, I follow philosophy-based pages, I follow product stuff that I love that is relative to my industry, like, weapons, components, and accessories, gear related stuff for hunting. So like I have my feed is pretty diverse in terms of like what I follow, but I try to like not get in those death scroll loops and just like sit there and scroll for hours at a time.
Yeah. Keep it inspirational and educational.
Yeah, correct. Keep it inspirational and educational, and that will help with your mindset, your mental health. That's my best advice for that. So I get you, homie. Like, take some time off, log out and take some time off. Just deactivate your page for 2 weeks or 3 weeks or a month and then come back.
Yeah, you won't miss anything.
No, you're not going to miss a shit.
All right. Next one is from Odyssey TC. Biggest mistakes people make trying to do well in the military.
Attaching themselves to toxic leadership that is in charge to impress them, and by default developing toxic traits themselves, because they think that that's the example, and then kissing their ass and doing everything they can to impress toxic leadership to fast track a promotion.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So I'm going to say this. If you're newly in the military, you're thinking about going in the military, just because somebody has a rank up that is higher than you and they're in a position above you doesn't mean they're a good person. Behind closed doors, they can be a piece of shit. It doesn't mean that they're good leaders, and it doesn't mean they deserve to have that job, because they can be very much incompetent.
Mm-hmm.
And you will know, after spending a measure of time with with whoever that is in your chain of command, you will know immediately whether that person you should be emulating that person or not emulating that person, trying to impress that person. And it sucks to say, but that's, inner human politics and human terrain play a role in like the success of your career in any industry. Like if you're working a corporate job, you know that like there's a measure of impressing your boss if you want to move up.
Yeah.
That's the game. Same thing in the military. Like if you want to move up quickly, you got to play the game and impress them to a certain extent. And what I've seen as a mistake is that people will rush too fast through the process. Like we called them board babies in the Marine Corps, where they would just like go to every single Marine of the quarter board, NCO of the quarter board. They would do whatever, board was available to try and fast track a promotion.
Mm-hmm.
And there were Marines that were really squared away that would go participate in those promotions and deserve them. And there was a large block of Marines that did not deserve to get promoted that fast because they just didn't have the experience. Okay, there's a certain amount of experience that you should have in a billet.
Yeah.
Okay, time in rank, time in service is a thing that they calculate for normal promotion standards. And your time in rank matters. Your time in service matters, your time in rank matters, and how long you've spent in a particular billet and how good at that billet are you.
Mm-hmm.
So like if you check in from School of Infantry and you're a private first class and now you're a mortarman and you hit the fleet and you've spent, a couple months, you've like been to School of Infantry, been trained in basic employment, and now you're trying to learn like the advanced field craft stuff that all the senior Marines know
Mm-hmm.
that you don't know. And you are more interested in studying drill and customs and courtesies and and Marine history and all the bullshit. And you're not paying attention to what your actual job is.
Yeah.
And then you go get a rapid promotion to Lance Corporal and then do it again to Corporal, but you have very minimal amount of time or experience running a gun team
Mm-hmm.
or a mortar tube. And you don't know how to like properly set a base plate, set up a tube and adjust and drop rounds, like, and you kind of suck at it. Like your job is to be a fucking mortarman. It's not to be how fast can I move up in rank? Because here's the fallacy that dudes will get attached to, or chicks. I say dudes because that was my era. We didn't have women in infantry battalions when I was in. But I've seen to where guys will they get too wrapped around like how fast can I get promoted,
Mm-hmm.
because they think that the faster I get promoted in that next rank, I'll be able to make better decisions and I'll be able to lead and call the shots and do things the way I
Mm-hmm.
think they need to be done. I can affect change at the next level.
Yeah.
And guess what?
You don't have the experience.
There's always somebody that outranks you. Okay. It's one of the main things, like, because I have friends that did 20 years, 25 years, 28 years and retired and got out. And one of the things one of my friends said to me is, he goes, man, I just was it was the carrot on the stick my entire career, where I thought, well, I'll be able to change things when I get to the next level. And then he would get to the next level and he'd be like, oh, fuck, well, I'll change things when I get to the next level. And you're always going to be beholden to somebody that's got more rank than you. So like, you're never going to completely be able to affect the change that you want to do it the way you want to do it. And it's just, you're chasing a fucking dream. So it's not going to happen. Like, you're never going to be able to have sole authority at that next level. It just doesn't happen. It's just, there's always some asshole above you that outranks you that will,
Mm-hmm.
not let you do what you want, or not agree with the policy you're trying to set, or not agree with the SOP you're trying to create. And you'll just chase your tail. So to answer the question, spend your time in rank, get really good at your job, and focus on your job and being competent at your job. Because here's the thing, promotions will, sometimes chains of command can issue a
Mm-hmm.
meritorious promotion just based on performance. So if you get really fucking good at your job and you're a shit hot Marine and you're an awesome mortarman, like you're the best mortarman in the company, and you get a reputation for like being fastest gun up time, fastest, like most accurate first rounds on target, like for most accurate adjustments on target, like you get really good at your job, amazing at your job, people will in your chain of command will notice that, and you will potentially move up quicker in the ranks by being good at your job, which is what I would recommend you do instead of kissing ass to get to the next level underneath somebody that may be a piece of shit and may not be a stellar performer and just be there because they made rank.
Yeah.
Okay, next question.
From Rooster Bow 2. Yeah. What the fuck was the detail thinking or not thinking when planning Trump's safety? What the fuck?
So based on inside information that I have, senior, because of staffing issues at this particular federal agency, which go fill in the blank. Like, I mean, like, it's not rocket science here. Like the whole defund the police bullshit. And then you've got like a fucking retarded ass president in office right now. The worst president we've ever had in office, the worst administration ever, that's literally fucked up America and ran it really far into the ground. Who would want to protect him? I would not take a bullet for Biden. No way. I don't care how much fucking money you pay me. Like, I'm not going to put my life on the line for that dude.
Yeah.
So no wonder nobody wants to do the job. Okay. But they didn't have the personnel. They didn't have the senior qualified personnel. They had to rely on the field office there that had very inexperienced agents. Okay. And as of, today, we've got the senior director of the Secret Service, who's a female, talking all kinds of shit about like, oh, well, there was safety parameters and the roof was too sloped and we didn't want to put people on the roof. And then you've got sniper teams that are just like, I don't know, like they could have made way better decisions. The local police probably weren't coordinating properly with the Secret Service. They were probably on separate lines of communication. Local cops are using one type of radio and one type of frequency. The feds are using another type of radio and another frequency. So I'm sure from the time that people started screaming about a dude on the roof with a gun, the local cops are like, oh, what's going on? Oh, now how do we call somebody? Because we can't, because our radios don't talk to their fucking radios. I'm sure there was some of that going on.
Yeah.
And then, to have a situation where you've got snipers that don't think a structure within 140 yards of your principal is something that you should have observation. I can tell you from my time as a sniper in the Marine Corps, like rooftops, doorways, and windows are your priorities of observation in your sector. So like if there's a structure in your sector, you do a range card, first of all, then you annotate the azimuths and directions and distance to those on the range card. Then you label them as target reference points, building A, building C, building D. And then as you're communicating with your partner, so if I'm on glass and I'm watching the area and my sniper's laying down next to me and I spot this dude, I can say, hey, building A, rooftop center. Mm-hmm. And he knows, or something to that effect. Like I can immediately target index him onto the target by using a target reference point on my range card. And he knows because he sketched out the range card and looked at it and knows what mm-hmm. those target reference points are already. He can immediately index on that and know exactly what I'm talking about. He's not like, what building? What color is it? Where's he at? What roof is he on? No.
Yeah.
Building A, rooftop. That's your target reference point, according to your fire plan sketch or your observation sketch. Mm-hmm. So, it was a massive, massive dereliction of duty and fuck up, in my opinion. And then we saw how, like, I'm going to pick on the ladies, and we had a little bit of this conversation mm-hmm. at the house. Like, women are amazing creatures, and do I believe in gender equality? Yes, I do. There is things that men are good at, and there's things that women are good at. And if you want to do that type of job, you better be like able to keep up with the dudes.
Yeah.
Okay. Standards are standards. So if you can show up and keep up with the dudes and you're more proficient and better at the job than they are, then fucking A, awesome. Good for you. And that's what I expect. If you suck and you only got hired on a DEA hire or DEI hire, and you almost cause the death of your principal because you're incompetent, starting at the director level. Oh, the roof was too sloped. No, the roof wasn't too sloped. Like, you sent me a meme today of cows walking around on a barn roof that was sloped. And I'm like, oh, yeah, that cow didn't fall off. And then I put up something today too with like an FBI dude rinsing the blood off the top of the building with a hose. And he's like standing up there just fine. Mm-hmm. Not only that, the sniper team that engaged and neutralized the shooter was on a sloped roof. So maybe just own your shit. Maybe just resign because you're incompetent. Like, stop making excuses. Like, if I almost caused the death of my, if I'm running the Secret Service, which my whole entity's whole purpose in life is to safeguard and protect political dignitaries, starting with the president of the United States, and I failed at that, I should fucking resign.
Yeah.
Because that's what you should do as a leader. Like, your people aren't responsible. You're responsible as a leader. So you succeed, your team gets the credit. Your team fails, you take the credit.
Mm-hmm.
That's what good leadership is. So you should fucking resign. So yeah, high level of incompetency.
Yeah, absolutely.
Next question.
Goes right into it. This one's from Baller Bowl. What is the best optic to shoot at 223 at 137 yards while on a rooftop asking for a friend?
Yeah, it's a 1-8 ATACR Night Force in a Reptilium 1.7 mount is what I would have had with a red dot stacked on top of it. Like, here's the thing with that. Like, what saved Donald Trump's life is bad marksmanship, period. Secret Service fucked the dog. Local police fucked up. Like, they did not.
Yeah.
Bad marksmanship, an incompetent, unexperienced shooter, bad marksmanship saved the president's life. That's it. So, I mean, I can shoot a man at 100 meters with a pistol with a red dot sight on it. So the fact that this guy missed with a rifle with a red dot sight on it is he's a bad shooter, bad marksman. Like, I can nail headshots at 140 yards with a EOTech on a rifle, like a red dot on a rifle, like all day long, especially from a prone position. If I was in a prone position with my rifle set up on whatever support, I can hit targets no problem within that range. So luckily the shooter couldn't shoot. But to answer your question, like 1-6, 1-8, 1-10 on a 223 is of, that's in that 12.5 to 14, 12.5 to 18 inch length is what I run on my guns, and just train with your gear. Thank goodness that kid was not trained, an extremist that just was not trained. So thank goodness for that. Bad marksmanship saved the president's life.
All right, next one. When is your book going to be released?
Oh, my book. Yeah, I started working on that. For the last 10 years, people have been like, bro, you need to write a book. People that intimately know like details of my story or like nitty gritty type stuff and know what I've survived and what I've been through have been like, bro, you should write a book. And I agree with that. But I always felt like I had a beginning, I had a middle, but I didn't have an ending. So I think I'm finally to the point where I'm like, I'll get to the ending. I'm just going to start writing because like putting it off, like if anybody's ever read, like if you want to write something, I highly recommend you read Stephen Pressfield's book, The War on Art, because it talks about the whole writing process. And that book is 110% accurate and it's very helpful. So read that book and then try and tackle your writing project. But yeah, for the last decade, people have been like trying to get me to write a book and I'm finally sat down and started doing it. So I'm going to try and get it done and out by 25.
Awesome.
So like spring, summer of 25 on my book.
You can let Alex write the extra, like the ending of your book.
Yeah, I would. Yeah, that's a good.
I think he'd
call.
add a good twist to it.
Yeah, write the epilogue.
Mm-hmm.
Next question.
All right. Where is that emergency grab bag kit list?
Oh, okay.
That might be a whole other show. You're going to have to start listing out some things.
Yeah, I'm going to have to do like a whole YouTube video or like a Patreon video for that. But yeah, the get home bag. Not to be confused with the bug out bag. The bug out bag is different than the get home bag. The bug out bag is like, hey, I'm at my home. I'm getting pushed out of my home by, either my home's on fire or I'm being overrun by looters and they're going to murder me if I don't get the fuck off the X. Yeah, that's a whole different bag. Like I have a ruck stage to go that's a bug out bag that has all the extra gear that I would need to survive in the woods for like a week. And then I have a get home bag, which is like I carry in my vehicle. And if something happens to where my vehicle breaks down or like my vehicle becomes disabled in a shootout and I need to get off the X and get away from my vehicle and go stay in the woods for a couple days and then get my way back to civilization, get my way back to my house, then yeah, that's a completely different kit list for that and completely different sizes and
so a little two-part series coming up.
Yeah, so we'll talk about. We may probably do a video here real soon on bug out bag versus get home bag.
That'd be awesome.
Yeah,
I'll watch that one for sure. All right, this one is from Jessica. What the absolute fuck is going on?
Jess, she's one of my female patrons. What's up, Jess? I hope that Florida is treating you well. And what the fuck is going on? Like, I mean, it's chaos. It's absolute chaos. Like these are like what I talk about when I say elections matter and decisions and choices matter at the individual level. I've had this discussion with Kate several times where I'm like, hey, the things that you choose to do or fail to do create second, third, and fourth order effects.
Mhm.
And so you should always follow through with plans. You should always be very meticulous in your planning process and how you execute things and in the decisions you make to elect people that are in charge of your life and the trajectory of your country, because this is what we get when we let Looney Tunes run the country. So like, I think it's hilarious that like, the mainstream media has been like, oh yeah, President Biden just he needs now that the election is like, we're in the 11th hour and the election is 4 months away. They're like, oh yeah, president definitely needs to be replaced. And up until that point, the rest of the entirety of the country watched this buffoonery of him falling down the stairs, falling off his bike, can't fucking talk in complete sentences, getting lost, being disoriented, having that blank look on his face, losing his train of thought, like fucking up his word acquisition, his sentence structure, which are all hallmark signs of dementia.
Yeah.
So the fact that this has been going on for 4 years and CNN has been like, it's the best Biden we've ever seen. He's the sharpest he's ever been. He's completely lucid. He's on it. No.
He's not.
And now CNN's like, oh yeah, we should probably be looking for a new candidate to replace him as president because he's clearly got some medical deficiencies. Like we've been in 25th Amendment territory the entirety of the entirety of his administration. Like he should have been pulled for medical purposes. Like the dude, like yeah. I don't know what kind of drugs they give him to get him to like fire on all cylinders. I know his medical staff is probably giving him Adderall or giving him some type of like cocktail to like help his brain function better. But the dude is clearly like, and has been for the entirety of his administration, not with it, not medically able to perform the duties. And I think I heard you talking to somebody about it to be like, if that dude showed up in any other capacity at any other job, he'd be
let go.
He'd be let go. He'd be terminated. Like if he was a Walmart greeter that was like kissing all the children on the head at fucking Walmart and like talking nonsense and didn't know where he was at, and standing in the corner talking to the fucking, the plants in the plant section, like you'd fire him.
Yeah.
You'd terminate him. And that's the dude that's running the country.
Yeah.
I mean, realistically, like one thing I can't agree with, like one of my friends from, Australia messaged me and she's like, shout out to Claudine. She was like, what the fuck is it with like, this is the best America has to offer?
Yeah.
I completely agree with her for both candidates.
Mm-hmm.
I'm tired as an American of being caught in this, like, we have to make the
better of the two bad decisions.
Yeah, the better of the two bad decisions. I can't, and that's our life in America because we have this bullshit 2-party system. But yeah, the dude should have been removed from office, and now we've got, them. They're like, oh well, yeah, now he should be removed because we're 4 months away from the election.
Yeah, it's sad to watch.
Yeah.
It's just for a person, that's not okay.
It's humiliating to not only him and his family, like his fucking wife. What the fuck's wrong with her? Like if I were her, I'd be like,
my husband's not doing this.
He can't do this anymore. He needs to like be replaced. He needs to, he needs to be done.
Because we've seen the stress it does on any president, like Obama's photos of before and after any of them, where I'm like, the amount of stress someone's under as the president's insane.
Yeah.
So let alone when you have a mental health issue or you're aging or anything, like that stress is killing them. So yeah, I don't know.
You're correct. Yeah.
It's hard to watch.
George W. Bush and Obama both went in there like spry dudes, like little bit of salt and pepper on the sides and like very invigorated when they started their terms. And both of them did 8-year stretches. And at the end of those 8-year stretches, their hair was gray. They were skinny. They were hunched over.
They looked 20, 30 years older than their before pictures. It was,
Yeah, we definitely need age restrictions. We need medical performance evaluations. Like you can't go get a job anywhere, in any sector, unless you're like you do a psych eval and a medical eval. Like I can't go be a firefighter or a police officer or hold any public office without getting a medical evaluation for public service. I can't do that. I can't be any type of first responder if I haven't been like mentally and physically screened. Mentally, physically, and medically screened. I can't do that. But we can elect a dude that's got dementia to run our country for 4 years. and a completely retarded vice president that can't even speak in complete sentences either, and she doesn't even have dementia. So, like, I don't.
When's that VP debate happening?
Oh God, they just announced that today, and I'm like so excited.
That will be a popcorn night.
Mm-hmm. I want to watch one of my fellow Marines skin her alive, and it's going to be awesome. She's just going to laugh the whole time. Like she's going to do what she does. She's going to laugh and try and make everything like not a big deal. But she's absolutely going to get. I'm surprised she accepted to go do that because he's going to skin her alive. That dude's a sharp dude. There's a reason like Trump chose him to be a VP. He's young. He's a Marine. He's a sharp dude, and he's going to fuck her up, and it's going to be fun to watch. It's going to be more fun to watch than the presidential debate.
I was about to say that. At least it'll be better than that one.
It will. Next question.
All right. What does your apocalypse character look like?
Like how would I want to look in the apocalypse? Mm-hmm.
We're creating a cartoon or something like.
Oh, Snake Eyes.
Okay.
From G.I. Joe. Anything
you would change about Snake Eyes?
Yeah, panoramic night vision goggles and a MP7 instead of an Uzi.
Okay.
But I would have an extra wolf. I would have Timber, who is my wolf, and then I would have maybe a matching wolf, because what's better than one wolf? Two wolves. So I would have like Timber, the gray Timber wolf, and then I would have like Loki, the black
solid
Timber wolf. So like a black and a gray one.
So when are you getting your dog? I get a dog sit, right? This is the arrangement.
Yeah, I'm kicking around the ideas of finally getting a dog. So yeah, it might be that time. Like I got to train canines back in the day with my friend Mike Ramirez at Third Eye Canine. Shout out to Mike, amazing dude, fucking one of my best friends on the planet. Love that motherfucker. I worked with him. I apprenticed under him for a year and a half, and he taught me a lot. And I loved working with canines and training canines, and it was awesome. And got to watch a lot of like his training methodology and how he does work. And he's the fucking dog whisperer. Like he's the best dog trainer I've ever seen, hands down. He can get dogs to do things that I never thought were possible. So yeah, I'm gonna probably get one of his dogs
soon. I hear
soon-ish.
Okay.
Probably like, I mean, it depends. I need to get a hold of him, find out when the litter's coming, and then get scheduled in for that litter. And then we're going to have to do assessments on which one is the best one and all the things that you have to do when you pick a dog that's going to be a good pet, but also primarily a working dog.
Yeah.
A service dog.
For several years of your life. Like it's a good investment.
It is. So yeah, you gotta, there's a process to it.
Well, she better be cute.
She will be. Big ears and all.
All right, this one is from Nefel. Have you ever thought of leading a weekend retreat, but call it something else?
Weekend retreat. Yes, I was once upon a time. Sorry, I'm chewing ice and everyone's ear right now. Once upon a time, I was going to do a retreat for my patrons, and I was going to host it in Jackson Hole, and like it was going to be like a we're going to have some firearms training, we're going to do some medical trauma management training, we're going to do like some leadership training and discussion, and then we're just going to like hang out and do cool tour shit, like maybe go climb the Via Ferrata at Teton or at Teton Village, and go like do a river raft scenario. So like, yeah, I was planning something like that, but the thing that fucked it up and derailed it was I started like talking to my patrons about level of participation, and like a lot of them already had summer plans with their families and couldn't make it. And then the other thing that we were running into was, where is everybody going to stay at? Because tourism goes through the roof in the summertime in the valley, and like we get 4 million people that come through the valley every year for to go see Teton National Park and go see Yellowstone. So like the billeting situation on like where everybody was going to stay, because rates in hotels like skyrocket in the summertime. So you like have a room that like in the wintertime, $110 a night, and it's a nice room. In the summertime, you're looking at like $550 to $600 a night.
Yeah.
They just like ass rape on billeting. And like the more conveniently located you are, the closer you are to town square, and the closer you are to Teton Village or to the park, the more you're going to pay. So we had to cancel. But yes, it is something that's on my mind. It is something that I'd like to do. It's just a matter of like sitting down and solving the logistics involved with that.
Yeah. So soon. All right. This one is also from Nefel. How is the project coming along? Land where you're planning to build?
Yes. So Well, I'm sitting here with my architect right now, who is currently co-hosting, asking questions. So the project is moving along. We just have to I had to be creative about how I want to skin the cat on getting a place built, because as you and I have discussed, and we are in alignment
Mhm.
on, like, I hate bankers, politicians, and lawyers, because those are the three demographics of humans that fuck up things for the rest of us.
Yeah.
Currently, and especially with our banking system, like, I don't want to pay double the amount for the structure in interest. Like, if I were to go take a $150,000 loan over a certain block of time, depending on what that is and what the current interest rate is, I'd be paying double for it. It'd become a $3,000 or $300,000 structure. I don't want to do that.
Mhm.
Also, banks don't want to loan me money because I'm self-employed and I run my companies in a certain way to minimize my tax liability as much as possible. And when you do that, they look at your books and they're like, "Oh, well, you're not making any money, so we're not going to give you a loan." If I show profitability, then I have to pay a fuck ton of taxes on top of then paying a fuck ton of interest to a bank, and I just don't want to do that.
Yeah.
Fuck banks, fuck politicians, and fuck lawyers. So I'm going to save my money and pay cash, or figure out some type of other scenario to where we can get the structure built.
Mhm.
And I think we have a great idea of what we want it to be. You just need to design it now, and then we need to get my buddy Keith, who's my general contractor, to get his ass in gear and get things going.
Hey Keith, we'll be in contact real soon.
Keith will be in touch soon. So to answer your question, Nafel, the project is moving. It's moving slow because I'm, as you know, very unorthodox and asymmetric in how I go about accomplishing things. Because, as I said earlier in this podcast, fuck rules, fuck the rule book. I figure out creative ways to asymmetrically accomplish my goals without playing by the stupid rules that keep everybody enslaved, like paying out your ass for interest to a bank, being in debt to a bank. The whole way that we run our lives in this world, and especially in this country, with like being constantly in debt, constantly looking at our credit score, constantly being a slave to this number, it's just not a way to live. Like, I was put here to do more than pay bills and die. Pay bills, pay taxes, and die. Fuck that. So project's moving, but it's moving. It's slow because of everything I just basically outlined. Next question.
Alrighty. Are you still writing? Even if it's not shareable, that's understandable.
Yes, I'm occasionally writing poetry. I was writing poetry for a while and posting it on my Instagram page. And what I ran into was, like, either people talking shit about it, or people, which I didn't really care about that as much as I cared about, like, nobody, like, I was getting zero engagement on my poetry. Like, I would post something up and, like, nobody would read it. They would just look at the picture, or like nobody was commenting on it, and like nobody was giving feedback on it. And just like, because social media is turning us all into retarded animals that have like a fucking 30-second, if that, attention span. People are just like death scrolling, and then like we'll look at your cool picture for a second and then scroll by it without reading the copy, seeing who else liked it, reading, like, liking it, like, human beings are just, we're getting dumber. So like, I'm like, all right, I'm going to keep my poetry for me and write it in a book. And maybe I'll publish a coffee table book with like war poetry in it at some point, in addition to the other book I'm writing. But I'm still writing. I'm just not putting it out anymore because it's just pointless.
I like this timeline. Movie 2025, book 2025, poetry book 2026.
Yeah, it's a good call.
There'll be some signed copies going out to your patrons and stuff.
Oh yeah. Cool. I'm gonna take good care of my loyal patrons. Cool. I've got a core group of patrons that are awesome people. I love them. So yeah, they're great.
Perfect.
Let's not forget that training is happening this year too.
Oh yeah, training.
Yeah.
So you want to tell that?
Yeah, we'll do public service announcement real quick. Like, I am teaming up with Chris Cook, my friend Chris Cook, who's been on the podcast from Odyssey. We just had a lunch meeting the other day, and we are confirmed and locked in. We are doing a low light tactics, carbine and pistol, at the farm, September 21st and 22nd. It's going to cost $650, 2-day course. So we're going to have 16, I think we agreed on 16 seats for the class. So
when can you sign up?
That's a good question. When we get the marketing for it done, which is probably going to be next month, we're going to come down and shoot some drills and do some video and do some photos and like turn it into marketing collateral and put it up. And then you'll be able to sign up for it through his website, because mine's not ready to, like, it's not,
Mhm.
Kato and I haven't like figured out, because we do all of our own shit. We're our own web development team, and him and I are both, back to my earlier point of like, learn how to do things if you don't know how to do them. Like, we switched to WordPress from Squarespace and are trying to, because it's got more customization
Mhm.
features, and we're trying to like figure out how to like program, because there's coding that's
Yeah.
involved with WordPress. We're trying to figure out how to code the back end to get it the functionality to do what we want in terms of like booking classes. So we've got the classes, like the two things that I normally teach, which is a geometric threat assessment course and reduced visibility engagement course. We've got the course descriptions up on the website, www.loneelement.com. It's there under defense. It's under the defense link. And it's got two course descriptions, and we're just trying to figure out how to program the back end to start basically doing how you can, like, it'll open a calendar, and then you can click on the calendar and then sign up for the course, like fill out your liability waiver electronically. Like, we're trying to figure all that shit out.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, that is happening September 21st and 22nd. And I will put out an announcement on the podcast and on Instagram when you can go to the link and sign up on Chris's website.
That'd be sweet.
But we're both really excited about it. Chris is a great dude and a fantastic instructor, and I'm really excited to go to do this course with him.
That's going to be fun. And sold out instantly.
Yes, it probably will. So when you see the link go up, if you want to do it, don't hesitate, because it will sell out quickly.
All right. From Cullen, with your everyday carry, do you care more about caliber or capacity?
Capacity. I mean, because realistically, it's all about shot placement. Like, if I shoot you 3 times in the forehead with a 22 with 40 grain subs in it, you're still going to die. If I shoot you in the heart or in the T-box, it doesn't matter if it's a 45 or a 9mm, you're going to die. Like, if I shoot you in the high thoracic and hit an artery, or hit one of your arteries, your jugular arteries, or hit you in the pump, in the heart, you could have surgeons standing right next to you on an operating table, and you're probably not going to make it. Same thing if I hit you in the T-box, which is if you draw a straight line across your eyebrows and down your nose, that's called the T-box. And if I land a bullet anywhere in your nasal cavity or in your eye socket or in the center of your forehead between your eyes, that's going to sever a specific part of the brain that is going to shut your lights out, and you are dead instantly, which is what they train to shoot in hostage rescue situations, because it just shuts the lights out. So it's more about shot placement, in my opinion, than caliber. The great 9mm, the great Glock 9mm versus 1911-45 debate will continue to rage on, and I'm sure the internet will start, will self-destruct listening to me say, like, oh, caliber doesn't matter, shot placement does, because there's a bunch of people that live in fantasy land and have actually probably never killed a human being with a firearm. So I've seen what happens. I've looked at terminal ballistics before, after, in a basically in a SSE, which is a sensitive site exploitation capacity, like looking at all those things. Like, I know what bullets do and what they don't to humans, and sometimes it's very unpredictable. But what I do know is that usually good shot placement 9 times out of 10 will win the day over caliber.
Yeah.
So yeah, caliber, magazine capacity, or caliber doesn't matter, shot placement does, and I'd go for bullet capacity over stopping power any day of the week.
Yeah. From Lab Lover, a rant on the incompetence of police departments taking out shooters.
Yeah. Okay. So back to the absolute failure of the Trump assassination attempt, like by the local law enforcement. Yeah, they are incompetent, and it's a measure of a lot of things. It's a measure of people not being very patriotic anymore. It's a measure of people not wanting to protect the people that are in the current administration. It's a measure of people doing dangerous work and not being compensated properly. Like, I'm so tired of professional athletes making tens, if not hundreds of millions of dollars a year to run around with a football or basketball, and you've got people out there that are risking their lives to protect, fill in the blank, whether it's the president or whether you're a local law enforcement officer. You don't get paid enough to do that job. It's like teachers. Teachers don't get paid enough to be teachers. Teachers are still getting paid $25,000 a year and then still spending their own money on pencils and notebooks for their students in some places. So, like, same thing with EMS, firefighters, ambulance drivers, and paramedics and law enforcement officers. They don't get paid enough money.
Yeah.
And then they're hated by the population, So, like, the whole defund the police thing. Like, okay, cool. This is what you get when you defund the police. This is what you get when you let a particular political ideology destroy our national history, our national identity, our social, when they degrade the social fabric of our country and fucking destroy patriotism, this is what you get. You get incompetent people that are not qualified for the job. You get 3 fat girls that can't even reholster their pistol protecting a former president of the United States. You get a sniper team that doesn't know that fucking rooftops, doorways, and windows are priorities of observation. And where's your range card? Where's your fire plan sketch? Where's your target reference points? You're in small arms range, and you're not managing and monitoring a structure which is within pistol shooting distance of a president while he's speaking during an election. And he's one of the most contentious political candidates that we've had in our nation's history, at least in my lifetime. You know, I can't speak for anything that happened before I existed and before social media was a thing. I don't know. But maybe other elections have been just as heated and contested. But we've got a situation where we've got in my lifetime the most politically, you know, contested, like the most hated politician probably, you know, ever in the history of our country, you know, giving a speech in an unsecured area during an election year. Like, come on, just the fact that he's Donald Trump, you should have plussed up security because you knew, like, look what they've tried to do to that guy. Tried to deplatform him, tried to arrest him, tried to incarcerate him, they've done everything. They've tried to politically assassinate him, like with his reputation, like the whole Russian collusion thing, which was fake. The whole, you know, like, the whole like top secret documents thing, which got thrown out. The whole, you know, everything they've tried to do to that guy.
Yeah.
And now they've tried, like, they knew the only way that we can stop him is to kill him, you know. And I'm not going to go down the conspiracy theory rabbit hole, you know, right now, but maybe we'll revisit that on another Weapons Free Wednesday. But realistically, like, the fact that a dude with a rifle got into within 140 yards of the president while he was speaking and was able to take a shot on him is a complete failure and very, very sketchy. Like, I know guys that have done really high level executive protection work for politicians and dignitaries, and they were like, what in the fuck? Like, how come that those buildings were not cordoned off by local law enforcement? Yeah. Okay, cool. You don't want to put anybody on the roof because the roof is too sloped. Fine. They were inside the building. Cool. Like, how was the dude able to get on the roof and walk around on a metal roof with police officers inside and nobody heard him walking around on the roof? How'd that happen on a metal roof, which conducts sound way more than an insulated shingle roof would? So, like, if the dude climbed up there in his socks on a shingle roof, I could see, like, where he could be sneaky enough to, like, maybe you wouldn't hear him. But on an industrial metal building with a metal roof, like, I've been on metal roofs like that. Pong, 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 pong. They make a shit ton of noise. How do the fucking cops inside the building not hear a dude climbing around on the roof? And why weren't those buildings cordoned off? Like, they should have been cordoned off by local law enforcement. Nobody should have been able to walk up unless you owned that building and managed that building, in which case the Secret Service should have gone in and done an interview and a background investigation on the people that own those buildings, that privately own those buildings, so that they could do a threat assessment on it. Nobody that didn't own those buildings and hadn't been cleared by the Secret Service shouldn't have had access for the duration of the speech. So yeah, massive fucking failures all the way around. Local law enforcement and Secret Service to drop the ball super hard. They fucked it. And luckily, like I said earlier, bad marksmanship saved the day. So yeah, I don't know. This is the era that we live in, which is why, you know, you'll see me hashtag dangerous freedom all the time, because I believe in that. I would rather have dangerous freedom than peaceful slavery all day long. You know, like my homies in Australia that have cameras, CC cameras tracking everything they do all the time. They can't speeding tickets and running red lights cost $3,000 in Australia. Parking tickets cost $400 in Australia. Like, you're heavily monitored and heavily controlled there. Okay. It's peaceful slavery is what it is. Beautiful country, amazing people, great coffee. Love you guys to death, as I said earlier, but it's peaceful slavery. Okay. If I'm not free to do anything that I want to do within the scope of the law that exists, okay, I'm not so far libertarian where I'm like, I believe that no government should exist. It should be anarchy, and I should be able to run a meth lab and a brothel on my property if I want to. Like, I'm not that guy, but I'm like, we should have the minimal amount of government as possible, and I should be able to own and equip myself with firearms under the Second Amendment in the Constitution of the United States, and I do. Because I would much rather have freedom to do that and defend myself and defend my pregnant wife than
Yeah.
from getting taken off to jail because she posted something on Instagram. So like, yeah, I believe in individual freedom at the highest level, and also this situation with regard to what, there's a girl that I've been following on Instagram. Her name's Erin, and she has her page is called Non-Libtake, I think. And apparently there's this famous girl, and I'm not familiar with her, but I think she's half African American, and she was, she's a super famous person. It's Amber Rose, I think, is her name, and she's super famous, but she spoke at the Republican National Convention. And before, like during Trump's last administration, she was very critical of him, called him retarded, told him that everyone, that's not my president. And as a woman of color who leaned left super hard, she's watched what the left has done and has circled back, as many people have. Like Tulsi Gabbard left the Democratic Party because they're too extreme and they're destroying everything that's great about America. And so she realized that, got invited to speak the the Republican National Convention, and gave a great speech. And the right freaked out about it. They're like, "What the fuck?" Got super. And then so I was commenting on it, and I'm like, this is why the left continues to fucking kick our ass in social measures, and why social issues and cultural issues are always upstream of politics. So you have a situation where basically she's speaking, and one lady commented in there, she's like, well, this lady she believes in abortion, and she's satanic. And it reminds me of the lunacy in my family, where like anything that we don't understand or anything that we disagree with, we immediately default to our religious beliefs and accuse it of being satanic and evil. The fact of the matter, it's not. And realistically, I'm gonna pick on my fellow, not fellow, but I'm gonna pick on my fellow Americans that are Christian. Christians are in some cases more tribal than extremists, than leftists are. Like, we have this little cool kid club, and we like if you don't believe in the exact same things that we do, and we differ in opinion in any way, shape, or form, well, then you're untouchable and you're satanic, and we don't want anything to do with you. So there's that aspect, which is completely flawed logic, because I think according to the Bible, like, you're supposed to spread the word of God, and like Jesus hung out with like killers and rapists and whores because those were his people that he loved, and like he loved everybody, I think is what the Bible said. Like, that's what I was always taught in church when I was a kid. So like, you're supposed to love your neighbor and like spread the word of God and all of that, and
be a good person.
Yeah, be a good person. And I don't think calling somebody, the other thing that the chick said in the comment, she was like, she's an OnlyFans model. Okay, well, who the fuck cares?
Because what does that have to do with anything? Right.
Well, my point that I made in the thread was, Republicans are really bad at tactical political tactics. You guys just suck because you're a bunch of old white people that are Christians, and it's a bunch of boomers that are Christians and don't understand the evolution of social situations or technology for that matter, and are so wrapped around the fact they're like, well, she's not a Christian that goes to church. Well, so we're going to throw a fit about it. Well, first of all, people are allowed to change their opinion, and we want people to change their opinion. Basically, we accomplished with Amber Rose exactly, and Tulsi Gabbard, like, hey, look at what your party is doing. Look what they represent, and look how they're destroying. Look at these metrics of like how they're destroying the culture and the social fabric of our country.
Yeah,
we want those type of people. We want people to change their mind about things that are fucking destroying this country.
Yeah, we're supposed to change.
We're supposed to change and evolve. So it's completely okay for her, when she's presented with more data, more facts, to change her position from where she was before. And furthermore, like, you shouldn't judge people for, like, good on you, ladies. If you want to have a fucking OnlyFans, go for it. I don't care. That falls in line with my beliefs on personal freedom as a libertarian. It's not hurting me any. If that's how you want to make your money and earn your living by, being on OnlyFans and having an OnlyFans account, go for it. It doesn't hurt me any. And I don't think you're a bad person. Okay, that's just what you choose to do. Okay, I don't think you're a bad person because it's not hurting anybody. Now, if you're doing child porn snuff films on your OnlyFans, then yeah, I hope somebody puts bullets in you. But if you're just doing your own thing and you're not hurting anybody, and, that's how you want to earn your living, great. Not only that, like, in terms of a tactical position on things and why the right's bad at this is she's got the platform and the reach to sway more votes for people that are now on the fence in the left camp to ensure a victory for their political party. So me being in the middle, and we have to choose the worst, the lesser of two evils, essentially, like, yeah, I'm going to support Trump. And because Biden to me is a way, way bigger threat to the US, especially with like all the open border shit that's going on and like all of the influx of like, illegal immigrants we've had and criminality that we've had and the media suppressing like all the violent shit. Like 2 of these immigrants took a little girl and kidnapped her and raped her underneath of a bridge, and evil, disgusting shit like that's been happening nonstop. And the media has been suppressing it because they don't want any more eyes on the fucking open border crisis. And that's exactly what it is. It's a crisis. To me, it's our number one threat to our national security right now. And we need to correct it immediately, not just from a human trafficking standpoint, but from a drug trafficking standpoint. Like the fentanyl crisis is absolutely out of control. Like if you've driven through San Diego and certain parts down close to the border, like you'll see what fentanyl is doing to human beings.
Yeah.
So Republicans traditionally bad at political tactics. And it's why they get their asses kicked all the time by the left in social situations, because they don't want to look at technology. They don't want to think outside the box. They just like got their Bible and want to go to church and believe that Jesus is going to take care of everything for them. And if you're not in that club, then you're going to hell. And I don't subscribe to that at all. So, and I think it's a major problem with why they get their asses kicked all the time. So yeah, that girl has a OnlyFans account, and she was involved in the left side of the house for a long time and was very critical of Donald Trump. And
I'll have to listen to the speech.
Now she's pro-Trump. She's voting for Trump, and she's converted, and she has the platform to reach more people to help ensure a victory. And if you can't, like I said in my thread, war and politics are the same. It's all about winning. Like you're in war and politics to win.
Yep.
That's your only goal, to win. So if you can't adapt to the new conditions on the battlefield and utilize assets on the battlefield that may not align with your religious beliefs, but will ensure a political victory, put your fucking shit aside. Put your Bible down, because we've seen how bad leadership has fucked our country up for the last 4 years. So if you want to risk that again over having a fit about some girl that's got an OnlyFans page, you're a fucking retard. And you're part of the problem. Okay. I think that was a sufficient rant. What do you think?
I think that's good.
Okay.
And we could go on for days on that.
Yeah. Let me see where we're at. Where are we at on the recording time frame? Oh yeah. Perfect.
Okay. Last one.
Yeah. Oh, we got another question. Let me put on my old man spectacles. Oh yeah. We're an hour and 23. Okay. Go for it.
From Cullen.
Yeah.
Apocalypse, urban setting. What is your weapon of choice that you're going to grab? So a baseball bat. What do you find?
Oh, he said field expedient. His question was like field expedient. What's your apocalypse,
your
zombie apocalypse weapon, field expedient weapon of choice? Meaning I have to make it.
Yep.
It can't be a firearm.
Correct.
So I would say I would probably go with the baseball bat with the nails in it, or I would take a lawnmower blade and sharpen it into a machete. That's probably what I do. I'd probably take a lawnmower blade and fashion some type of handle around it, like on it, or like wrapped up duct tape around one side of it, or do something to and then sharpen it really sharp and make it a machete, so I could just whack zombie heads off with my machete.
Cool.
Yeah, lawnmower blade or baseball bat with nails in it.
Good.
Or like a mace. Maybe I'd build some type of mace. Take a length of pipe and fashion a chain to it, and then get a really heavy, find a shot put ball and weld, go down to the local high school gym and steal a shot put. I don't know. Do kids even shot put anymore? I don't know what kids do in school these days besides try and convert into being trannies. So I don't know.
We went to weird art schools where we built things and designed things. So I don't know.
Yeah. I feel like I'd make some type of bludgeoning implement, some sharp slicing, dicing, bludgeoning implement, something that will make you bleed, but then also can cave your skull in at the same time.
Yeah.
Well,
I like it.
It's Weapons Free Wednesday, folks. And I don't know which one we're on. So wherever you're at on the globe, thanks for joining us for this edition of Weapons Free Wednesday. I hope you guys are great, and I look forward to seeing you on the next episode. Peace.
Anyone who runs is a VC. Anyone who stands still is a well-disciplined BC.